What is good, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I'm going to be talking about the one and only Tesla stock, what you should be looking after for the future. I'm also going to do some in-depth technical analysis and give you guys my price prediction for Tesla for tomorrow, based off what the trends are suggesting and based off what the data is showing. I'm going to break down the PPI report and talk about why on earth this was big for the markets, why it did have a bit of an effect, and also what on earth the FOMC meeting that's coming up in a couple of weeks may show in response to this and the CPI report. I'm going to break down how markets are responding, what the news is saying about Tesla, and also what Elon Musk, the man, the myth, the legend Elon Musk, put on his Twitter page, which is still good news for Tesla. Now, before I break any of this down, before I get into any details, I do have to mention a couple of things before starting. Firstly, I'm not a financial planner. Don't take any of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire Tesla community as a whole. And the last thing is, if you guys can, please check out the MooMoo link down below and in the description. If you sign up for MooMoo with the link down below and deposit $100 into the account, you're guaranteed up to 10 free stocks, each worth up to $2,500. And the best part is, out of the 10 free stocks, 5 are going to come from the wheel right here. This means that you could win 5 free AMC shares, 5 free Tesla shares, 5 free Apple shares, or a mix of all of them in this limited time offer that ends in just one day. With that out of the way, let's get on with the video. So I apologize about my voice and how I feel right now, because I am kind of drowsy after I got my hepatitis B shot. So even though I am feeling a little drowsy, I'm going to still power through and just record this video. It may be a little bit shorter, but it's a-okay because I'm doing fine, just a little bit drowsy. Everything's going to be fine. So looking at Tesla, this thing was up about 0.54% for the day, a little bit red in the after hours. And we could see, in the grand scheme of things, this thing is still kind of respecting this pennant that formed right here. Now, what else is interesting about this is the overall market was actually kind of red, and Tesla still is holding its ground pretty strongly, which is actually a pretty decent sign. Now, as Tesla is starting to kind of respect this upward trend, it's actually looking a little bit better than the overall market, in my opinion. And we may actually see a bit of a continuation of this going into tomorrow. Now, as we are closing in at the kind of like end of this pennant, as we're getting kind of closer, things are getting a little bit tighter for Tesla. So I do think that price action may become a little bit more boring, and the direction we end up choosing could depend on not only the Fed, but the earnings reports that are coming out very soon, starting around like next week and the week after. But before I actually get into details about, like the future, we kind of talk about the PPI report, because that also played a big role in how the market performed. So PPI came out. This is essentially the producer price index. It shows wholesale prices which shot up near the record of 11.3% in June, which is actually not that far from the record of 11.6% in March. So PPI shot up. If you exclude food, energy, and trade, core PPI was up about 6.4%. The monthly gain of 0.3% was below expectations. We also saw jobless claims go up. I don't think that this was this big for the markets. These numbers tend to not affect it as much. The bigger thing was the PPI report. Now, if we break down the numbers in a more specific way, we can see that the final demand increased by 1.1% in June, which is still a little bit high. I mean, it's a little bit higher than I think a lot of people would have expected. And if we actually go down right here, prices for final demand, less food and energy and trade, moved up 0.3% in June after advancing 0.4% in May and April. So that's actually not that bad as well. And if you exclude energy, which kind of inflated the data, it actually did show a rise of like 6.4%. So overall, still pretty high, but it is kind of like not that scary for the markets overall, because we are seeing gas prices starting to go down now. So there's a little bit relief, and we do know it's very likely we are going to see both CPI and PPI cool off for next month. But that doesn't necessarily change everything for the markets, because remember, after we got that high CPI report, a lot of eyes are now on the Fed and how the Fed is going to respond. Is the Fed going to give us a 100 basis point rate hike? Is it going to be a 75 basis point hike? We don't truly know from this point. It's almost kind of balanced between the two of them in terms of what we're pricing in. But I do think that the markets are actually becoming kind of cautious, and they're getting more prepared by kind of pricing in more and more of a potential 100 basis point hike. And many people have different views of this. Obviously, 100 basis points would be a little bit better for the stock market, but the stock market's not necessarily the exact same as the economy. Now, for our economy, could we handle 100 basis points? I mean, some Fed leaders say it's definitely possible. Other ones say that it won't be that good. I mean, there are different views about 100 being a little bit too hawkish and maybe too aggressive for our overall economy on everyday Americans. But at the same time, other people have different views. So now it's like we're seeing Wall Street kind of go back and forth. We're seeing them actually kind of preparing for 100. And with that said, with Wall Street being more cautious, I still think that downside is still imminent for the overall markets, and that could actually drag Tesla down a little bit, but not necessarily stop it, as it has been holding up pretty well. Now, what this essentially means is that the market kind of like dropping is what's kind of holding Tesla back a bit. We are still getting those green days. We're a little bit red in the after hours, but we are still holding up very well compared to the overall market. Now, that doesn't mean that the market is not acting like an anchor, but so far we are respecting this pennant pretty darn well. Now, when it comes to 1348 EMA crossovers, I'm not seeing it yet. Let me check out the daily real quick. I haven't seen it just yet. We're still kind of like, we still were dropping compared to that peak right there, but now we're respecting this upward trend in a bit of a reversal phase. And it does look like we may kind of continue to respect this pennant going into tomorrow and the days after that. Now, if I zoom into the chart more and maybe close out of the EMAs, we'll notice a very interesting trend right here. In fact, I could actually bring them right back. It would be fine. It doesn't matter that much. But anyways, Tesla was up here, $764 a share, and then it dropped pretty darn hard. We saw it touch 675 after the CPI report came out. The whole market just like tanked for just a couple of minutes before actually seeing a nice kind of bullish move. And you can see Tesla's kind of been it's been trading back and forth in this range right here, and we have been holding that $700 support very strongly. Now, there were some instances where we did drop below it here and there, but overall we did get nice moves above it, and we have been holding overall for the majority of the time. With that said, we have this strong resistance right here around that 725 to 730 range. That is where Tesla is kind of struggling to really break through as of right now, and that's because of current market conditions and the way supply and demand is working. So I'd like to look at that as a very key zone if Tesla could actually get to that range again. And in this trend, it does look like we are going to most likely see a continuation of that, because we almost formed what it looks like almost a double bottom. We did get this one abnormal kind of like drop right here. There's an abnormality, but it almost formed like a nice formation where you could see a nice push up from here. Now, I would want to be a little bit more on the bullish side for Tesla in that case, but considering the way the overall market is, and if you look at SPY, for instance, look at the way SPY was moving. Let me close the EMAs just to make the gap a little bit easier to see. So if you look at SPY, we have a gap up here. We're most likely going to fill the gap around that 378 range, maybe go as high as the 380s. And the question is, are we going to continue pushing? It looks kind of like we might get a rejection, and we are kind of respecting this downward trend. So it does look like the whole market may continue to see more downside going into tomorrow. We might get a nice push into open. I do think that the SPY is going to fill the gap into open, followed by some kind of like a bleed off going into the later days. Now, for Tesla, what does this mean? I think that Tesla is going to kind of follow that trend. I think Tesla, and let me actually draw this out real quick. I think Tesla is essentially going to do something super similar. It's going to get a nice push into open, but then we may get a bit of a bleed off going into the later hours of the day. And the way I'm seeing it is we might push up like this, but we have that very, very key resistance level around that 725 range. I mean, I can't promise if we're going to break it just yet. As of right now, it's looking like we may not break it. And then we may start to drop after that. We could actually turn red for quite a bit of time, because we did see a lot of activity between 700 and 715. And if the market does end up kind of like tanking, which is still very possible for tomorrow, Tesla could actually spend some time below 700, just a little bit here and there. But the majority of the time, it should actually hold a little above 700. And I do expect some kind of like sideways action. With that said, I do think we should kind of hold in this range. We might actually get basically a sideways close. I don't think it's going to be in the green. It might be a little bit in the red because of how the market may respond on a Friday. Obviously, it's a Friday. The market tends to kind of cool down a bit. So I'm essentially seeing basically a sideways boring day for tomorrow. I do think Tesla's going to close around that maybe 711, 710 range, somewhere around there, just a little bit in the red. And overall, it's still looking all right. Now, if we do see a move like that, I know it looks kind of weird when I put this in the 2 hour chart, but if we do see a move that kind of looks like that, we'd still be in this pennant, and it is still possible for us to break to the upside if we do get that breakout. So we're essentially just looking out for that. We're going to see how this really plays out. If we get a breakout, that would be awesome. If we don't, then we'll just have to wait and see what the market shows us. But that's essentially what my prediction was. I don't expect insane volatility for Tesla. It is kind of slowing down a little bit compared to before. So it's a-okay. It's doing fine. Tomorrow may be a boring day as it's a Friday. there aren't any like major catalysts unless something comes out. And anyways, I want to talk about this right here. Tesla's AI leader, his name is Andrej, I apologize if I said that wrong, Karpati, and he basically announced that he's leaving the company. And he actually made this announcement, and a lot of people are really sharing their appreciation of the work that he has done. And he mentioned that it's been a great pleasure to help Tesla towards its goals over the last 5 years, and it's a very difficult decision to part ways. And he wrote that the autopilot graduated from lane keeping to city streets, and he looks forward to seeing the exceptionally strong autopilot team continue that momentum. So, this is what he tweeted. Very amazing. We appreciate the work he has done for humanity, for Tesla. And to me, it looks absolutely great for the long term future. Remember what Elon Musk did put on his Twitter page? Someone asked him about any word on the full self driving beta version 11, and Musk responded that 10.13 goes to internal beta tomorrow, external next week, should handle Chuck's complex left turn. Then he mentioned that the beta V11 hopefully end of next month, which just amounts to incorporating highway importance of V11, has also been reduced by all of the 10.x releases. So we're almost ready with version 11. Once again, a good update for their full self-driving beta technology. They're improving on a weekly basis, on a daily basis, actually. So to me, it's going to be very bright for the long-term future. We may see red in Tesla right now. I understand that. The market may not be perfect. I understand that as well. But remember, choppy price action may continue. It just gives us very good buying opportunities, and the long term future is still very bright for this company, for the stock market, and for many US exchanges. With that out of the way, thank you for listening. Please have a great rest of the day. And I once again apologize if I sound very tired. I'm just powering through, and you should never ever quit on your dreams. Thank you. Tesla to the moon, and peace out.